Okay, everybody, the New Year Day is coming up on the New Jerusalem calendar again. So, just going to go over a video of the first month on the New Jerusalem calendar, which is March. And that's where the story of Jesus Christ's crucifixion and resurrection happens. So, it matches the story in the Bible because the story in the Bible says it's in the first month. So, March is the first month on the New Jerusalem calendar. So, that is logical, right? And then that makes, September the 7th month and October the 8th month, because Sep means 7, means 8. So September is the 7th month and October is the 8th month. And that's logical too, right? So New Jerusalem calendar is just a Christian logical calendar to take the global church forward, going into a new era. It's for replacing the old Gregorian 1582 AD calendar system because it's just out of order and it doesn't fit all our raised awareness minds these days. So March is the first month, right? And Alpha Omega New Year Day, the date for it is 00, and that's at the spring equinox of the northern hemisphere that's coming up. So find the equinox and then you find Alpha Omega New Year Day this year. And then the day after that is Sunday, March 1st. And that's John the Baptist's birthday. Kicks off the year of the Lord. And spring begins in the northern hemisphere. And then on the 9th, that's when Jesus had supper with Martha, Mary, and Lazarus in Bethany. And then on the 10th, that's Palm Tuesday. That's where Jesus, the Passover lamb, came to Jerusalem. Then we have Passover about midnight on the 14th, right? And then the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread is on the 15th. And that's the day that Jesus had the Last Supper with his disciples. And also in the Old Testament, that's the day Israel departed Egypt on the Exodus. So then this week, the next day after Jesus has the Last Supper, in the morning, he's delivered up, taken away to go on trial. And he talks with high priest Annas and then Caiaphas, and then he's delivered to Pilate, then Herod Antipas, and then Pilate again, and he's scourged, and then all the high priests and the people called for Jesus to be crucified. So he was crucified on Good Friday right there during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, right? And unleavened bread, it isn't physical bread without yeast in it. It's spiritual bread. 1 Corinthians 5:8 says unleavened bread is sincerity and truth. So you want to keep the feast not with the old leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. So it just means try to be a good person. So he's crucified that Friday, in the tomb on the High Holy Day Sabbath. It's a High Holy Day Sabbath on the 21st because that's the second holy day of God. The 7th day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So he's in the tomb there. And then on Easter Resurrection Sunday, he rose again. And that's on March 22nd every year on the New Jerusalem calendar. This is a fixed date calendar, so it's the same every year. It's not like the old Gregorian calendar where Easter is bouncing around every year. And with the old Gregorian system, they mixed the lunar calendar with Passover and Easter mixing around, and it's just a big mess. You never know the right dates or anything. They use two different dating systems. So this is just Passover and Easter on the same calendar system. And Easter Resurrection Day is on Sunday, March 22nd every year. So that explains the first month of March on the New Jerusalem calendar. We have the New Year coming up at the equinox here pretty soon. So you can get your brain aligned with God and the Holy Bible, Jesus Christ. If your churches aren't doing the New Jerusalem calendar, you should maybe get them one so you can get their brains aligned with God and Jesus. Because the old Gregorian calendar system is just pretty much obsolete for telling the story of God and Jesus, the crucifixion and resurrection story. So happy Passover, happy Easter, and happy New Year. Yeah, it's very big time of the light of God coming here soon.